I'm Kristina Zachary with the Zachary team, and welcome to our welcome home. Oh, wait, sorry. Look, I'm already messing up. Our Home Sweet Home podcast, San Antonio. And we just want to say thank you guys so much for watching again. We are super happy to have our wonderful guest here today. You will not believe the things that are going on in San Antonio. And I know a lot of people think that San Antonio is just the Alamo, the Riverwalk, SeaWorld, but we are much more than that. And our guest is going to explain a little bit more on that. But first, Gabriel and I are San Antonio's realtor couple, and we help people buy, sell, and invest in and around San Antonio. So if you know anybody who's looking to moving and all of that stuff, or just wants advice or anything real estate related here in Central Texas, please let us know. We'd love to help you out. But let's get started today with our guest. His name is Sam Ximenes, and he is a pioneering space architect. And I know that space architecture and San Antonio don't go together, or so you think, but we're here to talk all about it. So hi, Sam.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, thank you for the invite to come here.
Thank you for coming all this way. I know that you had some things going on at the house, but thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here today.
Sure.
So you're Sam Ximenes. Tell us a little bit about you. Say hello to the YouTube world and on our podcast, and take it away for a little bit.
Sure. Well, I'm a native San Antonian, actually. I was born at Fort Sam, Houston, and baptized at the San Fernando Cathedral.
Wow.
So you can't get any more bona fides than that in San Antonio. So, although I'm a military brat, I didn't really grow up all the time here.
Okay.
My father was in the Air Force, and we ran around the world for most of my childhood and all the way through high school.
So what is it that you do now?
Now I'm a space architect. and I got a goal and a mission and a vision to get to the lunar surface and start building infrastructure on the moon, so that we can go back there to stay and to mine it and do research and do exploration and develop the moon.
Yeah, I totally want to dive into that. But first, let's talk about your upbringing. So your parents, you were military brat. What branches of military were they in?
Air Force. Yeah.
Air Force. Both of mine too.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was a JAG, judge advocate in the Air Force.
Okay.
And we went all around Germany, Spain. I graduated from the high school in the Philippines as well. So
nice. So what brought you to? I know, like your parents were stationed here in San Antonio.
Yeah, they come back and forth between assignments. We'd come back to San Antonio.
Oh, very cool.
And we were also stationed in Laredo, stationed in California.
Okay. Were they both born here in San Antonio? Is that why they kept coming back?
Both are from San Antonio.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when did you finally, after all of the moving, when did you all finally settle in San Antonio?
So he retired in '72.
Okay.
And I went off to college at A&M. And so so we've been here since '72. The house that we grew up in during those years are all is where we're still at.
Yeah.
Is there.
Oh, so that y'all are still there, or the house
is
still
there? Yeah.
Yeah. So you were baptized in the San Fernando Cathedral. Tell us a little bit about how old were you when that happened?
I was a baby.
Oh, okay. Sometimes
don't remember too much about it.
Sometimes it happens when they're older. Just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
So what are some of the coolest places that you remember going to when you guys were being stationed all over the world?
Oh, geez, anywhere you go overseas is always an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Germany was and Spain, both were fun countries. I was only in elementary school at that time.
Yeah.
And then the Philippines, I was in high school, and those were great days there, pretty well. Although it was the middle of the Vietnam War, so it was tumultuous because we were dealing with the base mission there in the Philippines was dealing with the war, but it was a military community in the little USA. America was all at Clark Air Base, and it was pretty protective of us.
And my husband and I, we listened to your TED Talk. Mm-hmm. And a really cool experience was you guys were in Germany during the Cold War, correct? But there was a really cool story about you traveling into a cave with a friend.
Yeah.
Can you go a little bit into that?
Yeah.
Because I think that was a kind of a precursor, or a really pivotal moment for you and what you're doing now.
Yeah. Well. So we were following a bunch of older kids into the cave. They had discovered this cave, and there must have been maybe 4 or 5, I guess, of us. And there was we were the last two, me and a friend of mine, the last two in the line because we all had to go in a single line,
Yeah.
crawl into the cave, right? And we were just following the big guys, right?
Okay.
Into the cave.
Were there flashlights involved?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
just making sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So and then I don't know if they knew or if it was just a total surprise, but when we found this chest of coins at the end of the cave, and we took it out, right, and they gave us a few dollars, not dollars, few I guess it was marks at the time, coins, and we all we did with them, we went to the store and bought gummy bears.
No, so you didn't even keep one?
That's what I remember. Just buying gummy bears with the money we found.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I was like, did you keep one? Do you still have it? Was it lucky for you?
I must have been in like 4th or 5th grade or something.
Yeah, just spending those pennies.
Yeah.
And okay, so now, what did you go to school for? You said you went to A&M.
Went to become an architect. I went to school for architecture.
Okay, so just modern architecture.
Yeah, regular architecture.
Just
Yeah,
buildings.
yeah.
So
I had no idea about space in that time. That was going to be where I would end up. But
so how did you end up in space architecture?
well, that's some years later. Okay,
Uh-huh.
after I got out of A&M, I had wanderlust still. But growing up as a military brat, I never lived in one place more than 4 years of my whole life.
Yeah.
So it was always time to move around, right? After come 4 year time frame. So I would travel different back to Germany, back to Europe, and
Okay.
did some work in Mexico, and I ended up back in Germany with a company I was working for as a consultant, and they had an idea for us back then. This is way before the internet. For doing a video wayfinding service, and I convinced them to let me bring it over here. They get the rights to try and promote it here, and we stood up a company here. It was called Video Point Corporation of America, and we were providing a service in large venues like concerts or whatever, or World's Fairs,
Okay.
to get people to wayfind, essentially key in a query to a kiosk. You find your way, right? Where's this? What's going on? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right now it's all internet. You can do it on your phone.
Yeah.
Back then we had to lay down. We had to lay cable down and big TV screens. So we got a contract for the World's Fair in New Orleans in 1984 to do this, to lay this big system down. It was state of the art at the time. Technology called Videotex. You probably don't even remember that anymore. It's an outdated technology. Again, pre-internet.
Yeah.
That World's Fair was probably one of the most disastrous World's Fairs they ever had, because it went bankrupt.
Wow.
And it took my company down with it
Eesh.
at the time. So I was kind of licking my wounds. I came back to San Antonio and said, what do I do next? I'm going to go back to my roots, which is architecture. But what can I do with architecture that's at the spearhead, the vanguard of architecture? What's going on in that? And that's when I came upon space architecture at the University of Houston. There were two professors that were just getting started standing up a program in this field. And this is even before the space station. If you're familiar with the International Space Station, so way before. This is when it was still on the drawing boards.
Wow.
And they were talking about, now, how do you design for living in space? How do you, as an architect, how do you design for the habitation modules? How do you, the galleys, the crew quarters, the showers? How do you make a livable space in a essentially a can? And that was kind of what we were studying, this space architecture at the time. Of course, there's always the ideas of lunar bases and stuff. How do you do lunar-based design and Mars-based design? These are all concepts. So we're studying all that. So that was part of the program at the University of Houston.
So that was in 84.
In 84, yeah.
So we're in 2024 now. That's what, 40 years?
Yeah, I dated myself here.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like, the things you must have experienced in that 40 years is just probably, no pun intended, astronomically different, right?
Yeah.
So do you still find a lot of excitement as you did in 84, like throughout the years? Has the excitement built with the modern technology coming out? Is it easier to do things now, or do you find it more difficult? And
no, it's not that it's more difficult. It's just it's a bit more available in terms of what can be done. You can implement better now. We still have the same ideas the same concepts for how do you do a lunar base or how do you do a space station, but now we have better tools. That makes it easier, but doesn't make the task any easier. But
Yeah.
that makes any sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so that you have a little bit better ways of being more efficient, I guess is the way.
Okay, that's great. So
Yeah.
I can't help but picture. So there's that, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm losing it. But right off of Highway 90, there's that aerospace building. What is it called? It's the. Oh, so you have nothing to do with that?
Highway 90.
Highway 90.
Yeah.
It's by Kelly Air Force Base.
Yeah.
It's this big. Oh my gosh, darling, you might have to look it up. It's this. The Boeing Center.
Oh, the Boeing Center. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Boeing Tech Center.
Uh-huh.
At Port San Antonio.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I think so.
That's where we're located.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yes. Okay, perfect. I'm like, I'm getting this right, correct? So I've been there a few times. It's remarkably impressive.
Yeah. We have an exhibit in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw this picture of how y'all want to, like, create like a cislunar economy or like colonize the moon.
Yeah.
Can you go more?
Our whole vision is in that exhibit.
Yeah.
We have a big mural on the wall that kind of shows the end state we want to be at in end of the century, which is a whole surface community of spaceport and and mining activities, and underneath in a lava tube basically is where we're living, and then there's a whole community and down there that's generating all the activities of basically servicing the cislunar economy. Mm-hmm. Everything from producing oxygen for the rocket fuels that need to be done, and oxygen for for basic living, and mining the surface for minerals and things like that to export back to users in space.
That is
as well.
so cool.
Yeah.
And you have a lunar rover on the moon. Tell us a little bit about what it does.
Well, we don't have one on the moon. We're developing one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in development.
Right now,
what is it gonna do?
the only rover on the moon right now is a Chinese rover, which we got to really catch up to.
Yeah.
We're got to worry about those guys.
Okay. And I think I'm just gonna go off the radar. I keep kind of doing little puns here and there, so a little off the radar. But everybody wants to know, because there's the hollow moon theory, right?
Oh, yeah,
and is there aliens on the moon? You kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there are no aliens on the moon.
Okay. Sorry to disappoint.
not that I know of, anyway.
Yeah, so you haven't seen any.
I haven't seen, no.
But you guys want, from the picture that I remember seeing, super duper impressive. But I remember there was like a half sort of spherical object, and then in that object it kind of like elevates down into the moon, and y'all are wanting to build crops there, have not office buildings, but space for people to live, people to just be on the moon.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
what we're doing there in that exhibit, and it's not that large of a space, but it's enough to give a kind of an overview of all the different activities. What we're trying to portray in the exhibit is the technologies some of the technologies, not all of them, of course, but some of the major technologies you need to use and develop and mature to actually build on the moon. One of them is a 3D printer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you're talking about. It's a lightweight printer. It's hung by cables, and it allows us to print from meter to meters of size in terms of structures. Like, for example, a landing pad or a habitat module. And we've been able to develop a material ostensibly out of the regolith. Okay, it's not the real regolith. Is the lunar dust, the lunar dirt.
Okay,
That's
regolith.
Regolith. That's what they use is for soil here on Earth.
Yeah.
For some reason, they use the word regolith for the moon.
Okay.
And for Mars, the dirt.
All right.
And that regolith is what we use. Is what we want to use on the moon to make as our building material. What we do is we melt it. You can do lots of things with it, but we melt it to turn it into bricks, and the bricks become like for foundations, landing pad activities and stuff that needs any sort of a planar surface, a flat surface, and the bricks are what is our first material that we're developing. That regolith has got a lot of different uses. It's good and bad, right?
Really? Okay.
Because on the bad side, it's very electrostatic and it clings, and it's very sharp and and hard and detrimental to your health. You don't want to breathe this stuff. It's real dangerous. Astronauts, caught what they call some sort of a hay fever during the Apollo days because it would bring it back into the cabin, and they catch cold because it got into their lungs. And what happens with it is it's here on Earth we have fine grained sands that are all rounded, granular type of dust particles because of the weather that occurs. Well, there's no weather on the moon.
Yeah.
So there's never been any need for the granular material to round itself out. So it's all sharp, like
Sharp edges.
Sharp edges and stuff, and that can get in your lungs and stuff. So that's the bad side of it. Okay. The good side of it is that it's got a lot of good stuff in it, like oxygen and minerals and helium and magnesium, irons and stuff. And water even has water in it as well. And we can extract all that out of the grains, out of the regolith. So that's why we call it ISRU, in situ resource utilization, which means live off the land. So we can't bring all our building material with us. We got to build from what's there, which has always been done from millennia when we came to the new world. We built what was there. Well, the same thing, same principle. And this regolith, we could use it we could manipulate it to solidify it into hardened material. We can extract gases out of it for the gases we need to have. We can extract metals out of it to create the metals we need to do for building. And then we can extract water out of it for fuel that we need to have for fueling the spaceship, the coming and goings, and also for a cheaper way to get to Mars that way.
Very cool.
So that's kind of that's the mining that's going on, that's being developed right now with a bunch of companies, private companies, going to the lunar surface. They've actually found water on the moon, water ice on the moon, and the poles, and as well as the water that's in the regolith. So they're going to mine that, extract the water out of it, turn it into a rocket fuel, and that rocket fuel makes it easier to get onto Mars, where we really want to go.
It's like a boop, boop, like a hop, skipping
away. Right, and also to develop the cislunar economy around Earth, around the Earth, sort of with space manufacturing going on, fuel depots, they're being developed as well. So this becomes the generation of a new economy.
Wow.
The moon is think of the moon as a new continent.
Yeah.
Right? A new continent to go explore and to utilize for the growth of our GDP, basically.
Yeah, and you guys said China's already on there. So is there specific borders that y'all have kind of created already?
No. The moon does not belong to anybody.
Yeah.
According to the Outer Space Treaty.
Okay.
Signed back in the 60s when there was a race to go to the moon. There's now a new race, but the treaty says that the moon belongs, and all celestial bodies does not belong to any one country. Nobody can claim it, right? So there, but we never know how long that will be honored. Sometimes there's bad actors.
Yeah.
And we see some examples of that already in the case of China claiming islands in the South China Sea that really does not have any basis of claim, and the UN has already told them that they don't have any basis to it, but they claim it anyway. They're trying to expand their sphere of influence as well.
Yeah.
Well, not just on the Earth, but also to the high ground of the moon as well. So it's a strategic play in terms of who's going to be able to access the resources that are there as well.
Now, speaking of the regolith, I'm just kind of trying to grasp it, right? So, of course, we have sand. How deep is the regolith on the moon? Do you guys know? So
there's a fluffy layer of regolith that's been bombarded for eons, for billions and billions of years of micrometeorite bombardment, right?
Yeah.
They call it gardening. So what happens is that these micrometeorites have been hitting the moon for all this since the beginning of time, basically, and the first layer of it is maybe I think around 30 centimeters or so in depth, and it's fluffy. You saw the footprint during the Apollo days when they landed.
Yeah.
It's compacted when you step on it, but that's what we know about, and we know a little bit about what's underneath it, but not enough. We don't know how far the bedrock is, where's bedrock, and how far, how dense it is, because it gets compacted the more it lays on top of each other. and we need to know that for if we're going to build.
Yeah.
As any civil engineering project that you would do here on Earth, you need to know the soil properties. You need to know the density of the soil. You need to know what the bearing strength is, the shear strength of what you're going to put on top of it, so that you don't have collapses, that kind of thing. And we need to do that kind of exploration and engineering assessments as before we can start doing the building. And that's one of the things we're doing as well. We're doing something called a surveyor bot, which is a robotic surveyor that we want to launch up there and do the first survey of the site that we think we want to use for the landing site and for the beginning of the base. And that surveyor bot is going to measure with a penetrometer and ground penetrating radar, measure what's underneath it, so we know when we start digging up and start doing the leveling, we know where the rocks are, where the boulders are. We don't want to get to a point where we're digging up and there's a rock that's up 1 foot, but underneath it it's 3 feet down or 4 feet down, right? It's a big old rock. We want to be able to know all that before we bring all these assets up there for the excavation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Now, for all of this, you obviously need a great big team behind you. And I know that you started in 2016 the WEX Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a big vision, of course. It's going to be realized. Certainly not in my lifetime, but I'm laying the seeds for the foundation of this. And as a San Antonio, I want this to be San Antonio be known as a niche market for San Antonio in space construction. And we want to be able to reach out to the community with the WEX Foundation, which is it's a nonprofit we created to reach out into the community and the student middle school through high school age level and start guiding their career paths towards space exploration. And we offer programs, summer camps as well as semester long programs for learning about space exploration. And what we do is we give these students the same challenges that we have to the students to try and solve as well.
Nice.
At their level, of course, but they have fresh ideas, and sometimes those ideas come back to us as well that we can continue to try and develop and mature as well. So the idea is to grow this workforce in San Antonio because we have an aerospace community here, but we want to get it migrated transition it towards more into the space part of it and not the aeros part. There's an aerospace we're the space side of the aerospace business in San Antonio.
Right.
So we're trying to get this, and we've been successful with students that have graduated out of our programs. They've come in intern with us with the company, Astroport Space Technologies is the name of my company, as well as Exploration Architecture Corporation, which is the parent company. But they come in, they intern with us for the summer, and some of them have even come back and have been employed by us as they've gone on to school and graduated, from college, and we'll take them back in and get them employed. So we're trying to create jobs. It's really they're trying to create the jobs, STEM jobs here in San Antonio to do that.
Okay, and that's kind of got to be that, that whole rewarding experience for you, right? Is that one of the best parts of what you do today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of the three organizations I'm running right now, the WEX Foundation, Exploration Architecture Corporation, and Astroport Space Technologies, the WEX Foundation is my favorite because you get a lot of satisfaction when you see these kids, they grow. You can see them grow up right before your eyes in terms of their maturity and their excitement as well. So,
and when when you join the military, you take the ASVAB test, and they kind of gauge, they would probably excel over here or excel over here. So how many kind of different opportunities does the WEX Foundation have as far as space architecture goes?
So we run 3 programs. We have one called the LCATS program, which is Lunar Caves Analog Test Sites. And this is a year-long program. It's the school semester, fall and spring, and they meet 2 Saturdays a month, and they're teamed up to learn about robotics, learn about remote sensing, and space architecture over a 3-year period. It's a 3-year commitment.
Wow.
To the program, not only for the student but for the parents. because the parents have to bring them, make sure they get to the classes and
Yeah.
and so the first year they go through what's called remote sensing mission, where they learn about how do you do sensors and do remote sensing of with lidars and radars and that kind of thing, and they build their own science instruments, and then we take them into caves with those science instruments so they can do like a field scientist.
Yeah.
And goes into the field, does his measurements. Well, we use these caves as analogs for the lava tubes that we want to eventually live in, and when we get to the lunar surface.
Wow.
So they get outside essentially.
Hands-on experience.
They put their phones down, and they
Yeah.
and they crawl around in caves.
Oh, love it.
And with their science instrument that they brought, or their robot that they brought, and they're operating it in the cave and taking the measurements.
Very cool.
As well. So that's one program.
Okay.
Well, so the second year of that program is the LCAS program, is the robotic program, and that's where they start making robots, the small miniature scale robots. That this year they're going to be doing construction robots. So we'll have a simulated sandbox, and they'll learn they'll build their own ideas for how do you excavate, how do you drill, how do you compact with these robots as well. Then the third year they get into the space architecture, about building habitats and designing habitats as well.
Wow.
So 3 years.
And so this is just for middle school and high school students?
Yes, yeah, this at that level.
So how can someone get involved after they've graduated high school and they really love the space architecture and everything involved with it? How can they get involved with something like this?
Well, after high school, we want them to go on to college, right? The goal is to get to college, and then while they're in college, they can come back to us, and it can be interns with our program, with our commercial program.
Okay.
Companies as well. Not everybody does that. Again, we're not trying to say this is your path. We're trying to guide them into the direction towards these STEM jobs. And we do get a lot that comes back that come back, and we have a summer internship program every year that does that as well.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's and we have had some real stars too that come out of the program as well.
Oh, stars,
Yeah.
get it?
Yeah, no pun intended. Yeah, shooting stars. Yeah.
Well, we would love that information. I would like to kind of put that in the description on YouTube,
Yeah, sure,
so
yeah.
parents can know about this, and for their children who are possibly showing interest.
Yeah, we're
in this sort of
recruiting right
thing.
now for the summer camp that we have. Another program is the Stellar Explorer program, which is a summer camp. It's just a week-long summer camp. We're going to have 2 this year.
Okay.
They'll start in July. It'll be in July and August, the 2 camps, and we're recruiting for that summer camp. That summer camp program, you get this. These are middle school students learning orbital mechanics, and we're teaching them at that level how do you do orbital mechanics for understanding satellites
and stuff.
and trajectories, that kind of stuff. So that's a kind of exciting thing. I really like that one. That's good.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Do you know the cost of it?
It's free. All our programs are free because
Wow.
we have grants from NASA. We're NASA sponsored, and for the LCAS program, we call them junior NASA consultants, because they're learning they're essentially got the same challenges that we're doing with our NASA contracts with the commercial companies. Mm-hmm. So that's why we call them junior NASA consultants. The summer camp program is also free. We get grants from the community and from other organizations to offer it free. And then the third program we have is called Enway, New Worlds Await You. And this program is we teach the teachers how to teach the curriculum. So a lot of the school districts have their own out of school programs for the students, and so now we're teaching in Enway they call them pre-service teachers. These are teachers that are learning to become teachers. They're still in college, right?
Yeah.
And they're learning how to become a teacher, and so we're teaching them the curriculum that then they can go out and be the teacher in the out of school programs at other schools as well.
Nice.
So that's the 3 programs
It's
we
like a
have.
well-rounded sort of thing. It's like the
cover all the
teachers.
bases.
Yeah, exactly. Literally covering all the bases.
Yeah.
And speaking of bases, you're part of the Greater San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, and you kind of mentioned to me that y'all have this committee, this aerospace committee, right? Tell us a little bit about
I
that.
don't know if it's called, yeah, the
Or
aerospace,
council,
the aerospace division of the
There you
chamber.
go,
Okay, and this group is brings together all the aerospace companies in San Antonio.
How many are there in San Antonio?
Oh boy, I really don't know the number.
Oh, so it's a lot.
Yeah.
What makes San Antonio that perfect location? Why Texas and why San Antonio? Why
Well,
not Houston? Right? Because Houston.
flight began here in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
The first military flight training back in the old biplane days
Yeah.
started at Fort Sam Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So San Antonio's been an aviation community since the beginning of aviation.
Yeah.
And and a lot of aerospace or aviation has grown up around that here in San Antonio. With Randolph Air Force Base as a training center.
Yeah.
For military. Now it's the old Kelly base, now Port San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
There's a depot center. A lot of companies that are there doing
Yes.
what's called MRO, maintenance, repair, and what's the other one?
Mm-hmm.
Operations, I guess.
Okay.
And what they do there, they do refurbishment of aircraft, and they keep old aircraft and maintenance, free and upgraded and all kind of things like that.
Right.
So,
Do you also think it's because San Antonio is very centralized in Texas as well?
yeah.
Like it's a great port city.
It is. Absolutely, it is. It is. We sit at the crossroads. You think about it, the crossroads of three major interstates. We got the 35 coming through. We got 10 coming through, and
281. Not 281. What's the other one?
Well,
Because I'm thinking of major highways.
yeah.
35.
Well, 35 and 10. 10 goes through
Yes.
from the west to
East.
Houston to east.
North is north, or 35 is north and south.
Right. So we're kind of at the crossroads of all these. Texas itself, it's got a big space industry growing right now. We have activities going on in Midland, Texas, in the Alpine area with Blue Origin, Boca Chica down there with SpaceX, of course San Antonio with the space construction and the things we're doing here. Southwest Research Institute is here, big company doing a lot of big things in space, with satellite development, and then of course Houston as well. So
Houston's only like 4.5 hours away.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in terms of the space industry in Texas happening right now, and of course with the commercial space piece of it, it's now driving a lot of this.
It is, and with of course San Antonio just constantly growing outward. You guys just have tons of space, just to play with. Okay, stop with the puns, Kristina. Now you sound like a very busy man, and you mentioned that you're married. How long have you been married?
Oh, I guess 30 years probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did y'all meet? Was it around the time of when you were going to college, or kind of?
I was in New York City is where we met, and
fun.
Yeah. I like to tell this story. My wife probably would contest it. But I was at a conference, okay, and I was giving a presentation, and she saw me giving a presentation, and we got together after that, and so we met. Yeah.
What was the presentation on? Do you remember?
Well, as a matter of fact, it was my first foray into space architecture. When I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree in space architecture, I wrote a paper. My first time I ever written a published paper, and I submitted it, and it was on spatial orientation in a space operations center. It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
So that at the time they were building this, trying to figure out how to build the space station, and the space station is a big complex facility with all kinds of different angles and right angles, and there's no orientation in space. When you're in space, you don't know what's up or down. So my thesis of the paper was how do you orientate yourself when there's no cues for that. So and it was a what they call an environmental design study. Anyway, I wrote this paper and I submitted it. It's the first time I ever submitted a paper in my life.
Yeah.
And it got published, and I was up there for the conference to give the presentation.
Sounds like
and she was in the audience that we met.
Yeah, it sounds like a good crowning moment. You're like, talk about my paper up here. And y'all got married shortly after that, and then y'all just came back straight to San Antonio?
No, it's a long convoluted story.
Oh.
We're not gonna. I don't think I want to go into it. It's too a little too.
Okay, well, how do you find with being so busy with work nowadays and kind of finding that work life balance? I think a lot of people are really trying to achieve that these days, no matter what industry they're in. So, what do you find that helps you and your family?
Yeah, well, so my daughter's already she's gone, so it's just me and my wife. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just us there. But you're right. These days, everybody seems to be no matter what you're doing, everybody's busy. Everybody seems to be busy,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to manage manage life,
Yeah.
basically. But I'm pretty much driven by what I'm trying to accomplish. So uh, taking vacations, of course, and doing playing
Yeah.
golf, that kind of stuff is trying to balance out that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you say, I'm gonna say something really cute. Do you say cute little love things like "I love you to the moon and back"? You know?
No,
Is
I'm
that
not.
cheesy? I had to. I had to. I don't think
No,
you've ever been asked that.
no, probably not.
Well, maybe you should use it. You never know. You never
Okay.
know. And so, tell us about your experience on the San Antonio TED Talk.
That was a pretty good experience, actually. I would recommend that to anybody who wants to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a story to tell, it's really a good experience because they actually train you in the techniques that of
Public speaking?
how to speak.
Oh,
Not the
nice.
public speaking part, but
Mm.
how to give a TED talk,
Oh, okay.
in that TED talk style, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you actually you get coached a lot, and that helped me a lot, really. Uh,
Okay. How
yeah.
long was the coaching for? I didn't know
Oh, a
that
good
about
yeah,
that.
a good month prior to the actual talk. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they help you
It's
figure
not
out
every
what?
day, but it's a scheduled day as well.
How did you become a part of that? Did they reach out to you or did you reach out to them?
I don't remember how that was.
Hmm.
That was an invite. Might have been an invite. I don't know. I can't remember how I got into that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know. I
you
don't
gave a
recall.
fantastic TED talk. You just the way it flowed. It was really nice. My husband and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thank you very much.
Should do it again.
Well, what I like about it, though, as I look at it, I didn't realize it at the time. Well,
Mm.
maybe I did, because I was actually saying this. I was predicting the future in that TED talk. This was done in 2013 when I gave this
Yeah.
talk, and this is before SpaceX came to Boca Chica, and I
Mm.
was saying there's going to be, like the Gulf Coast is going to be a mecca of space activity in the next decade, which is this decade in right now,
Yeah.
because Houston was doing something, Boca Chica was trying to do something, and all these companies, the billionaires, were trying to build spacecraft, and
Mhm.
it came to fruition.
Yeah.
So now I'm here to tell you now, the next decade we're in, now we're going to be on the moon.
Yeah. Literally. Now, I want to start talking about the future. What big projects that you can tell us about? What big projects do you have in store?
Well, our goal is to get to the lunar surface, right, in this decade, and before 2030, with demonstration missions. The This decade in general is going to be a decade of demonstration missions. We're
Mm.
not going to see bases, and we're not going to see people living in the moon,
Yeah.
because we have to demonstrate the technologies that we need to do that.
Mhm.
And so now we're working on at least two or three um, demonstration missions of our technologies that we're developing.
Mm.
Of course, the technology for building the bricks, we want to show and that we can actually make a brick on the moon,
Right.
right? Before we start making all the landing pads, we got to demonstrate we can do it.
Yeah.
And before even doing that, we got to there's some techniques that we use for making those bricks, which is, for example, the way the regolith flows into the heater, the furnace that we use.
Mhm.
The flowing is the issue, right? How do we keep the flow consistent and separate the grains
Right.
to the level we want? So we have a technology we want to demonstrate to do that on the moon. So we got to demonstrate that technology.
Mhm.
Again, demonstrate the brick technology, and then demonstrate other things that need to be done. Technologies such as oxygen extraction technologies. So these are all demo missions that we're working both on the private side, commercial side, and then in partnership with NASA at the same time.
Very nice.
So
It's very cool. And how long do you expect to just keep going with all of this? As long as you
As long
can.
as I can. I guess I drop dead. I don't know.
No, you can definitely tell that there's a passion and that you love it.
Yeah.
And thank you, honey, for putting that question down because I remember wanting to ask it. So going back to that, the the first kind of the published paper that you wrote, and you
Yeah.
were doing a presentation on how do you orient yourself in space?
Oh, you need cues. You need visual cues.
Okay, what
Yeah.
kind of visual cues?
So, well, up is up and down and right is right. So,
You know what? I guess I was thinking of like I don't know what I was thinking. I really honestly had a picture of like a bear for this or something like that. But
no, you think about it. You know, there's a four modules coming together at one node, right? From four different directions, right?
yes,
And if you don't know what's up and down, you get to the node. You could come in from one way and think you're coming from the other way,
yeah.
and so you need signage
I
basically.
guess you
Yeah,
could use
yeah.
like northeast,
Yeah.
southwest.
No, you can't use that.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
there's no.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
Because we're but it's just visual cues and signage and then I've never been on a space station, so I don't really know how you adapt to it.
yeah, I was about to say. And so, right, I think in the video, the TED Talk video, you were also kind of talking about how there's people that want to start utilizing like quicker time travel, or not time travel, but traveling across the globe. So it's basically going up and then utilizing it to
Yeah.
kind of shorten that time frame.
Yeah,
To
that's
2
what's
hours.
that's another thing going on here terrestrially in terms of the space. We're involved with a program called the Rocket Cargo, which is a point to point delivery in under an hour
Wow.
anywhere in the globe using a rocket, any SpaceX rocket or Starship, for example, or one of the other ones that are being developed by other companies. And the military wants to utilize that for especially for things like humanitarian supply. When there's a disaster at the other end of the other side of the globe, and you need to get
Yeah.
some there real quick. If you have to and if you can do it with a large amount of cargo, like Starship does,
Yeah.
then that's what you want to use. To do. So we're studying, a lot of the logistics to go into that and the ground support pieces of it as well.
That would be really beneficial,
Yeah.
especially for
Yeah.
everything that's going on in the world today as well.
Yeah, yeah.
What are your predictions for the next decade as far as space architecture goes?
Next decade, we'll actually start seeing some structures on the lunar surface. We'll start seeing the first structures, permanent structures.
What kind of when you say structures in specific?
Yeah,
like
right now when they're going to go back now, and this the Artemis 3 mission is going to go back. I think they're scheduled for the first astronauts to be there in 2028, 27 time frame. And when you go back, they're essentially camp out. You can't stay very long because you have to bring your supplies with you,
yeah,
right? So they're 3 7-day missions at the most, and so the habitation modules will be on the spacecraft, or they won't be deployed,
Yeah.
so to speak. Once we get to a point where we actually have the infrastructure in place, which is the landing pad is one of the first infrastructures you need to
Got
put
it.
because you gotta have a safe landing to come and go all the time, and then you can start building out around. So the landing pad, which is going to turns into the spaceport, is the gateway to that location, and
Yeah.
there'll be other companies coming there to do their thing, such as the mining operations they want to do, or and then the ISRU processes they want to create, for their businesses.
Yes.
And so that's going to build up, right? Like anything here on Earth, you put a station somewhere, and things build up around it. Just the spaceports here on Earth do that same thing. There's spaceports. Spaceports are economic drivers of the community
Yeah.
because they bring in high tech businesses, they bring in education. Well, that'd be the sort of same thing up there. Like, again, we're talking next decade, next 2 decades. But to your question of the next decade, I think the first permanent structures where we start building a structure on the surface that's got a foundation,
Yeah.
or something like that, that deals with more permanent habitability, as opposed to habitats that are on the landed spacecraft that
Yeah.
lands there,
Got
and
it.
you use that as your base of operation
Okay.
as well.
I know that you have to be very patient in this industry, kind of like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like 10 years from now I'll see it. So,
Well, so I was doing these concepts back in graduate school, when I was doing the space architecture stuff, and none of those ideas have changed so much. But what has changed is the technology that is enabling it to now occur, as well. That's what back to your earlier question about is it easier? It's not so much easier. It's enabling right now the technologies that we have, and then now we have ways to do that. And more important, the access to space is cheaper because of the cost of launch has come down tremendously
yeah.
as well.
Very, very fascinating. I'm having such a great time talking with you. I just want to ask my husband real quick, how much time do we have left? I didn't even keep an eye on when we got started. Are you sure? Oh, okay. Huh? Okay, I just thought we started like at the 45 mark or something. All right. What predictions did you think about that haven't come to fruition yet, or they haven't happened yet?
Ooh, well, I don't know if I'm doing a lot of predictions other than that TED Talk. And most of that seems to be happening, so it hasn't happened yet. Well, everybody complains about flying cars. Well, yeah, but we're going to have them pretty soon. I mean, that's coming too.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I've been hearing stuff about it.
at the port, they're going to have one of the first drone programs for understanding the urban communication, commute, the how do you use air taxis basically.
Yes.
And they're developing that there at the port as well.
Very fun. I bet you like going to kind of the STEM or the space conventions. Are those fun for you to go to?
Yeah, it's I tell you what, if you want to be a world traveler or you want to see the world in your career, be part of the aerospace community. You'll go around the world 3 or 4 times with traveling to to where these conferences are going on and even businesses are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the aerospace will take you around the world.
Oh,
Aerospace.
literally.
And if you want to be adventurous, become a scientist. The scientists have all the fun because they get to go to even more exotic places.
Right.
To places that nobody would ever usually go to do their measurements and do their investigations as well.
So besides the word exotic, if someone goes to the moon, like what would you call it? What's a good word for that?
Oh, adventurous, I guess.
No, lunaristic. Come up with something different.
Yeah.
So with all of the high-tech companies in the space industry kind of more gravitating towards San Antonio, get it gravitating? Gravitating towards San Antonio, how do you think that's going to affect the San Antonio economy for like the next 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, well, it'll definitely make it grow. We'll be hopefully more known as a technology center and not a sleepy little tourist town. Technology is a hidden technology. San Antonio is a hidden gem because there's a lot going on in San Antonio. A lot of high tech stuff going on in San Antonio that people are not aware of. It's just not tourism here, and it's just things that are in all fields, from medical field to aerospace to the cybersecurity fields, it's just manufacturing. A lot going on in San Antonio that people are just not aware of, and I'll compete it against Austin anytime.
Yeah. So if you need to move to San Antonio, call 210-504-5301. We have a booming space industry here. So now the world is going through a lot right now. There's a lot of issues that are happening. Now, of course, there's plans to move to the moon or to Mars. What are the biggest issues in your industry that you feel that we face as a species or just as human life here? What is our biggest thing we should be worried about? People
think a lot of times you hear, why do we want to make investments in space and make all these problems here on Earth to deal with?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that space has brought back 7 times, 10 times full those investments back to Earth, the benefit of Earth. If we go the exploration route to try to settle the moon or Mars, all those technologies that are going to be developed from that are going to come right back to the Earth to help solve the problems that are here on Earth as well. People you realize that your phone is all because of satellites circling, orbiting the Earth, and just the ability to do basic wayfinding, basic, take use your map to get to one place or the other. Who was the last time you pulled out a paper map, to get anywhere?
I didn't use it to get anywhere, but I used it to look at it.
You look
I was
at
like,
it,
oh,
yeah.
that's interesting. I remember that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
How ancient.
Exactly. But so all the same thing will happen. The technologies that we develop for space exploration is going to help things like climate change. It's going to help things like the food shortages, just the ability to weather predictions, all these things. That just it's hard to even fathom. What will come from the technology, even the construction technologies.
Oh, absolutely.
We think about the durability that has to happen in terms of protection from micrometeorites or meteorite bombardment, radiation protection. All those materials that have to be developed.
Yeah.
That kind of those material technology, material science, all comes back to being used on Earth and it benefits the us here as well. It's not just an investment in going to space to go for the purpose of going to space.
I know.
Yeah.
As far as material science goes, too, there's so much. I mean, we just saw something the other day where it's like they're planning on creating buildings that build themselves.
Yeah.
Or if they can recuperate themselves if something happens to the building. It's really fascinating.
Well, you think about it's called resiliency in our world. Resiliency of a habitat getting hit by a meteorite, or some sort of radiation protection. How does that self repair? Right, because you might not be there. You might have it. It might be autonomous operations going on. How do you self repair something like that?
I know.
Think about that being done here on Earth. That technology that develops that can be brought back here to Earth. Would be migrated. They call it dual use technologies. How do you use it on space as well as how does it get used on Earth?
Exactly.
Well.
So essentially, to just humanity in general, just kind of keep the faith, hang in there.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
I'm optimistic about the future. I think there's too much doom and gloom going on, but
I know.
and we feel like that the world's falling apart around us. But
there's a lot of positivity.
But that's because
going on.
we're being bombarded with all that negative stuff all the time. They don't understand that there's also good things going on.
There is,
as well.
all the time, everywhere. So in May of 2023, so last year, you were inducted into the San Antonio Aviation and Aerospace Hall of Fame. How did that come about? How do you feel about that? That must have been...
was a big surprise. I didn't realize that was going to happen, and it was. I still don't know why me. But,
I know why you.
it was a heady experience. I'll put it that way. But enjoyable to be recognized, of course, by your peers and the community.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about space, right? But of course, you love San Antonio. You're here for a reason, and you really truly believe in San Antonio. What are some of your favorite things to do here when you're not, or you could be dealing with space? But what are some favorite places to eat, places to go? How do you love the life of San Antonio?
Well, I like the idea that you can go and you can get free music. Not only Austin has free music, but San Antonio's got free music. You can go and find venues there, and little places that have local bands playing that kind of thing, and there's always a to me a summer breeze is in the evenings in San Antonio is one of the more enjoyable things.
Yeah.
To experience.
And do you have a favorite restaurant that you like to go to that you like to recommend to people?
Oh, I don't know if I want to. I'll just say this. I like French food a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a place there at the Pearl.
Do you know what it's called? Because I love food. My husband and I, we eat food all the time. I mean, everybody eats food all the time. But we love trying new food all the time when we're trying restaurants.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I probably shouldn't say it because I don't know the full name. It's a French name.
You can spell it out if you want.
It's I can't remember the name of it.
Okay, well you have to we'll try to see if we can find it later.
Yeah.
I know my husband had
It's another. It's like bon chardi. It's not that. It's another endearment term. Oh, what's it called? Can't remember the name.
Okay, well Gable might be able to find it.
Monster Truth. That's it.
There you go.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Perfect. See,
If you
always
like,
on
if you like
spot.
French food, that's a great. That's a great place to go.
So, what is some advice that you could give to, um, like middle school students, high school students, or just anybody who wants to get involved in space architecture?
Um, First, you gotta have find your passion for what you want to do. All right.
Mm.
And if you don't know what that is yet, explore different things. You know, you might think you want to do space architecture, then go check it out and find out what you can about it, and then find programs like our program to try and get involved. If it's not for you, then it's fine because you're young enough to change your career path. But stick to something that is of interest to you
Mm.
and that has that you have a passion for. Because it might be something off the wall that people say, "How are you gonna make money doing that?" Well, you never know. You know, if you stick
Mm.
to it, you might become the best at that and become
Yeah.
the expert at it. So so
It's
uh,
all about consistency.
consistency. Don't give up, and if you believe in it, believe in yourself. To do it.
So when you have ideas in your head, right, about, like a lunar economy and all of that stuff, is there any idea that you haven't set, like, is there any idea that you have yet to start working on, but you know it will eventually come? You just have to work on these ideas first. Is there a pending idea or dream that you have?
Well, I don't know about something specific, but um, just trying to describe the lunar economy is in this way. Um, if you follow the money of what is being invested in
Mm.
for the space world, it begins with the rockets, right? There's a lot of money being put into the rocket development because that's the transportation, and now it's migrated to low Earth orbit. This is there's a lot of money being invested into companies that are developing uh, remote sensing satellites and communication satellites for Earth applications.
Mm.
A lot of imagery, data, to help understand crop growth and crop vegetation things.
Wow.
And so and that's another advancement. And now the next step I'm seeing is there's investment going on into the new space stations. NASA's going to decommission the International Space Station, and
Hmm.
there's going to be another. There's at least three being developed commercially to become new space, commercial private space research and space hotels essentially
Wow.
as well. So that's and now so it's going further and further out into deep space, and then there's the money for the investments into another layer of orbital domain for the depots,
Mm.
for the space depots, for doing space manufacturing, that kind of thing
Wow.
around the Earth. But then the next after that layer is going to be the lunar surface.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to become another investment play, and pretty soon I think we already seen companies that have been receiving funds from venture capitalists to with announcements of new companies all the time that
Mm-hmm.
are working towards the lunar infrastructure development. We're getting
Wow.
competitors, but I think in just this last month I've come across three new competitors
Very
developing this. So
interesting.
this is all developing.
Wow.
They're seeing the potential there. And so as these become more mainstream, to the extent that there's an economy and a market being built, because right now there's no market. We're building the market,
Yeah.
right? So as that market starts developing, you're going to see more and more investment and capital into that realm.
Absolutely.
And now we're going to start seeing, and at that point you'll start seeing business to business
Mm-hmm.
economy, businesses using the services of other businesses to generate their own business models as well.
Yeah.
So again, if you think of from the very beginning of the first landing pad that you make on the moon to get to this mining location that you've discovered that's got a lot of water or a lot of some sort of mineral
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna that's where you're gonna set up your outposts, and so you build your first infrastructure, the landing pad, and it's just a pad basically,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives you the ability to bring supplies back and forth.
Yeah.
But then you're going to start being, and maybe that's more autonomous. But then eventually you're going to bring your crew members as well,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're going to need the ability to stay somewhere. So now in a hangar or a depot of shelter as well.
Yeah.
Those get built up little by little, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you have then you're selling services to these other companies.
Mm.
For example, the ability of our landing facility
Mm-hmm.
to be a service provider. Our end goal is not to be the constructors, although we're doing the construction, is
Yeah.
to be the service provider to operate the landing pads.
Nice.
So then those landing pads then will be charging fees for landing on the cargo on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
offloading fees.
Yeah.
The regolith we dug up when we did the construction, that regolith becomes a commodity,
Mm.
and we can sell that regolith to the people that want to extract the minerals out of it, the gases out of it, the water out of it, because we've
Yeah.
already dug it up. They don't want to be in the business of doing excavation. They want to be in the business of making their product.
Yeah.
So we're a service now. We're providing them a service, a commodity,
Mm-hmm.
and here's the economy being developed as well.
Yeah. Just
Further.
like you spoke about earlier, it's like this full 360. It's like you help us, we'll help you. Or it's just kind of this always like cyclical.
A cyclical thing. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Yeah, and then it keeps on growing because then you have other services that utilities. Okay, where's the
Yeah.
power going to come from? What's going to be the utility company providing the power to us
Yeah.
as well, or the communications? Who's going to the communications company that provides the ability to communicate back and forth and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So these companies are selling these services as well, and this begins this
Fascinating.
economy that happens.
Well, if,
I think probably by mid-decade, maybe not next. Sorry, mid-century, maybe
Yeah.
by 2040s, 2050s. We'll see. We'll see
Okay.
some real economic
that's gonna be exciting.
benefit. Yeah.
I love it. Well, if I ever need real estate agents, or I would be willing to get my license if it requires me to be on the moon. I would totally do that. I think Gabriel would also.
Yeah.
Now, something cool. I kind of told you about this before we started.
Mm.
So a tradition that we have is our last podcast guest always asks the next podcast guest a question. They don't know who it's going to be. So I will ask you the last question from the last podcast guest we have. But what is your question, before we get to that, to the next
My
podcast
question.
guest?
Yeah. That's a good question. Where is the question? I've been thinking about it. What's the question?
Okay,
I
well,
asked?
think about it. Let me ask you the previous question
Okay,
first.
all right.
So, do you like if I'm getting this right, honey? Do you like jalapenos on pizza? Yes, it was. It was. Do you like jalapenos on pizza?
I thought, what's your favorite pizza place in San Antonio?
Oh, that too. But what's your favorite pizza place in San Antonio? But do you like also jalapenos on your pizza?
I don't think I've ever had one jalapenos on my pizza. Although I
Try
do
it.
not think it would be a bad thing. I think it would probably be a nice thing. Yeah.
What's your favorite pizza place?
My favorite pizza place is a place called Stoneworks. I guess they've got a good.
Oh, they
pizza.
got good pizzas.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, you should try jalapenos on pizza.
Yeah.
It's out of this world.
Okay. Out of this world. There we go.
So, okay, what is your next question that you have for the next podcast guest?
Okay. Where would you? What part of town would be your best part of town to build, so that you build that community up?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
So,
that-
because I don't, the next podcast, I think you're going off the investor. He was an investor last time. The next podcast guest is not going to be an investor.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to reformulate the question?
Oh, you didn't like the question then?
No, it's not that I didn't like the question. I'm just thinking of the next guest. I don't know. They
Yeah, you probably wouldn't know that too much. Okay.
or you could put maybe like what's your favorite part of San Antonio that you would like if you had to build something? What part of San Antonio would you build on?
Yeah.
Is that a
yeah.
good question? Is that a good way to reformulate it? Okay.
What,
I'm gonna write
What business would you create on Houston Street?
Okay. All right. I'm writing that down. So, honey, you had the questions. I can't see the other questions that you wanted me to put. Sorry, we're technical difficulties here. What is a step-by-step timeline for a moon base?
Sure. So the first thing you need to do is you need to do the remote sensing. All right. You need to know where you're going and what's there. So you gotta and you can do that by remotely and we have orbiting robots or orbiting satellites right now that does the characterization of the terrain and understand what's there, and you do that to understand where you land exactly. Where's the best landing spot? You get down there, you find, maybe, and something's interested you there, something that's grabbed your attention, like maybe there's water ice there or something that you think is helium-3 or some sort of mineral that you have discovered remotely. You need to go do the ground truth on it. So now you do send your robots to it. So that's the, we've already doing that. We're almost coming out of that phase right now.
Very cool.
So the next phase is the reconnaissance phase. You send your robots there to do the exploration.
Yeah.
And like I was talking about the survey robot. Okay. Well, you're going to send robots there to go find out, is there actually there what your remote sensors have discovered. Take samples. Is there really an ore field there? Is there a reserve of minerals there? And is there enough there to that's of value? So that's the robotics phase of it. We're doing that. That's going to start this decade. I think the surveyor bot, not surveyor bot, the Viper mission is the NASA mission that's going to go do that right now. It's going to launch in 27, I think.
Okay.
And so that's and I'm going to put this in the context of the lava tubes, okay, or lava tube goals. So we send the robots to go explore the lava tube. We know now. First, we've discovered the lava tube. We know where the hole is. We know what's around it. You send your robot there to go into the pit, down into the tube, explore it, send back the data.
Yeah.
Then the next phase, okay, is going to be the robot and the human phase. So the robots work together. You send your crew member there, your crew mission, and we're probably in the next decade by this is time this is happening.
Okay.
All right. So now we've got the humans verifying what the robots discovered, what the ground truth is. There, understand if the cave is structurally sound. It's it's a good place to try and make a long-term habitation and settlement there as well. And then after that, then you start sending more. Another mission would be by 2040 time frame. You're doing maybe the first surface structures you need to have, the building, the landing pad, doing them a little bit first of the first mining and pilot plants, pilot plants that you need to develop for the business you want to create there. And then after that comes the full-on infrastructure part of it, about maybe 2050 time frame, where you actually you're staying there longer at a time. You got maybe months of stay, not just 7 days or campouts.
Wow.
You're staying there for months at a time now, but you still got to do resupply.
Right.
All right. And then after that, then you start building the ability to stay there even permanently, and that's going to take some time because you have to have self-sustainability. You can produce your oxygen, you can produce your food, and then by the end of the decade, you got a full city as well.
So why the moon and not Mars?
No, Mars is definitely in the plans. Mars is the holy grail. We want to get to Mars. The moon is a fantastic proving ground for all these technologies. It's closer. The Mars is you're 2 years to 6 months away. Before travel, and the moon is three days away, and you can test out these things, test out these processes.
Yeah.
You test out the technologies as well, and it's closer to get to them if there's things that go wrong. To understand.
So obviously, when a lot of people think tech and space and put those two together, they obviously think about Elon Musk. Have you met him, and do you work with, or do you have any connection towards SpaceX?
I've not met Elon. We do have peripherally some connection. I'm not at liberty to say exactly.
Okay.
All right.
That's fine. Keep it straight. And what are your thoughts on the UAPs? We always got to ask about the aliens. What do you think?
It's I don't know. I don't believe too much in aliens, but there is something going on.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on AI and how it can be incorporated into space exploration?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's going to be very useful for we'll have robots that are when we do our construction processes. Yeah. They're definitely going to need to have AI enablement in their ability to make decisions and understand where where they're at exactly. You know,
Right.
there's no, for example, there's no GPS on the moon at this point, right? So they got to know where they're,
Not
where a
yet.
robot. Not yet, yeah. And there will be. There are plans for putting it up there, but at some point, a robot needs to know where it is in space and time, like
Yeah.
anybody else. All right, and they
Mm-hmm.
need to know what's around it, so it be able to move and map itself out.
Okay.
So AI is going to be an enabler of all that as well.
And what do you think of India's moon landing?
Fantastic, it's great. The more data. We need data
Data,
about what.
just
Yeah,
working
yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah,
Just to be able to do anything on the moon.
yeah, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you started a company and it failed. Which one was that, and how did that lead to your success?
That was Video Point Corporation of America,
Mm-hmm.
and again uh, you know you need to have the experience of failure. You can't always
Mm-hmm.
be able to think you're gonna always be successful, because you learn from that.
Yes.
It's a fire of you know forge yourself in the fires of failure. And
Yeah.
so that's you learn from that. And you learn what went wrong, and sometimes I've started other companies too, and you have always been sort of a trailblazer here, and I have the footprint of my back of other companies that have learned from my mistakes and gone on to become successful.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the moon landing was in the 60s, right? Why did space exploration slow down after that?
Um, well, first of all, the cost of space, the cost of access to spaces was very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about millions of dollars per kilogram just to put kilogram of material into orbit.
Yeah.
Now it's in the thousands of dollars, single digit sometimes,
Mm.
to put anything into orbit. So, and then there was not the will. There was always politics gets in the way sometimes. One president has a mission, has a space program, and then he gets voted out, and the next president doesn't want to use his program. He wants his own program. So there's a lot
It's
of
not very consistent.
not very consistent.
Yeah.
A lot of stops and turns.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have one more thing to
Okay.
give you. You've done a fantastic job, by the way. And so I love art.
Mm.
Love it, love it, love it. And I like to be creative. So you'll see some of my paintings or things on the wall. Not
Yeah.
that. I didn't do that. I got that off of Amazon. It's like this Van Gogh San Antonio
Uh-huh.
painting. But I like to leave our guests a gift to take home.
Sure.
So I created this one a while back, but I kind of honestly been saving it for you because when I look at it and when I created it, I've always like loved space and all of that stuff. So when I look at it, I think of like different kinds of galaxies and different
Uh-huh.
planets and just that are off billions and billions and
Right.
billions and gazillions of miles away. So I have this to give to you as a gift to thank you for driving all the way over
Oh,
here,
wow.
taking time out of your schedule. So that's for you to
Thank
take
you very much.
home.
Wow, this is nice.
Thank
This is-
you. And our business card is also on the back.
Oh. Oh,
Just
there we
in
go.
case you need anything.
Okay, that's great.
But
Oh, I like that.
I know, so it's just kind of I just love
That's
it.
really nice.
Thank you.
I've got a question for you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What do you
This is the first.
what do you think about the Webb Space Telescope and the imagery coming in from the Webb Space Telescope?
It's beautiful. It's so fascinating. It's just, honestly, when I take a look at it, it's always changing. Like I feel like just the weather system here on on Earth is
Yeah.
just always changing. So you're never really looking at the same picture twice or the same area. Something's always different.
Yeah.
And I always think to myself that there's 8 billion people on this planet. And for some reason, I'm always looking at them and be like, why can't we see us? I don't know. It's just this weird
Uh-huh.
concept. Or why can't we ever sometimes see like a plane flying or something? So that's just kind of where my head goes. But it's really cool. It's just fascinating. But Gabriel says it's amazing how it's redefining our understanding of physics and the universe.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, we're seeing the past. We're seeing time.
I know.
It's changing our like Gabe's saying, the cosmology of our cosmological models, basically, and how it all began. So,
Do you believe in the Big Bang Theory as well?
well, it's questionable now. People are questioning
Yes.
it. So,
Well, that too, but also, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought because now I'm like just thinking about a whole bunch of other things. But it's interesting to see. I think just the concept of where we are and where we've been, like, just back, you can't grasp it. So it's hard to
grasp, yeah.
to think about it.
The immensity of it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're like, you can barely think 10 years ago, versus like, how are things millions of years ago? So it's really cool. It's fascinating.
Put this to the camera here.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if people can see it, but it's fine. There you go. Thanks. But thank you, Sam, so much for taking the time to be here today, to be on our podcast. You've been wonderful, and we would love to. However, how can people get in touch with you? How can they learn more about the WEX Foundation? How can they learn more about Astroport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of take it away, say bye to the YouTube
Sure.
world, and give them all
Sure.
your information.
So for the WEX Foundation, if you go to WEX Foundation.org, you'll get all the information there, the contact there. For Astroport and XARC, XARC.com will tell you about Astroport and XARC. And you can also do info@astroportspace.com.
Yee.
There we go.
Well, thank you, Sam.
All right.
Truly appreciate it. All of the information is going to be down below, so there will be links and just information for y'all to just dabble into. And if y'all have any questions, please leave comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching. And please subscribe to our channel. We do luxury videos, and we talk to really cool people in San Antonio and try to show it off as much as we can. So we will see you next month for next month's podcast. But always be on the lookout for our luxury videos because we have some cool things coming up for you to watch. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Kristina Zachary with the Zachary team. You can reach my husband and I at 210-504-5301 to get in touch to talk about all your real estate needs or just to say hi. So we'll see you guys later, and thank you for watching. Bye.